welcome you guys again for this call. So my name is Raisa. I'm part of Rootstock DevX team. This is the team responsible for making your experience as a builder in Rootstock much more pleasant. And on this call today, we have a very nice agenda because we have a little bit of everything on the Rootstock ecosystem. So we're going to start with the update from the Explorer. So I think you guys saw last month there was a massive update on the Explorer, both backend updates that optimize the experience like speed and other tools that you need to use, but also on the front end. So making your experience like clicking, finding things, information much more easy. We also gonna speak to Cyclo, which is one of the projects built on top of Rootstock, and that's a very nice one because they offer a new type of learning opportunities for people joining the Bitcoin and Rootstock ecosystem. So it's very nice to see this type of innovation being brought to our ecosystem. And then finally, we're going to have two Activator contributors who actually ended up on the documentation. So if you guys are users of Rootstock documentation, you can find there some documentation that were actually contributions from our own community. And then we have two of these people here today to speak about Black Noir and X402 payments, which is quite innovative. So we're going to go through that, don't worry, in a bit. But I want to start with something which is the Messari report. So as you guys know, every month, like every 3 months, actually, we have the Messari report. I'm just trying to find here my button to share with you guys. So last week that report was released, and there are some things that I would like to highlight here that are very nice for you guys just to see. Like it's kind of a snapshot of what happened on the ecosystem for the past 3 months. And some of the nicest things is the merge mining that went up for. So now it's averaging from 84 to 85, going up to 90% of Rootstock is secured by Bitcoin. So that again show how close the Rootstock ecosystem is to the Bitcoin ecosystem by being not only the first Bitcoin layer 2, but also by the merge mining that keeps growing. I don't know if you guys recall, but last year when we first brought like this big update, I believe it was something around 72, and now it's going 84, 85, tops to 90%. So that's a big leap that we took since last year, showing how that's evolving and how close we're getting to the Bitcoin ecosystem without losing the efficiency that we bring to the Bitcoin ecosystem. Also, we have a new DeFi TVL, which was up to 2. Let me check here in the report. I had that number, but I think it's better if I look here because it was quite high. Sorry, guys, just trying to find you the right number. Yeah. Oh, I actually took note of that here. Sorry about that. So we have, it's 263 million USD in Q3 2025, which is quite impressive. Also, we had some major technical milestones, and some of those were actually featured on this XAT call that you guys can see. So we had the Logo upgrade, we had the Read network upgrade, which reduced the Bitcoin withdrawal to 60%, which is quite massive, not only for the Bitcoin ecosystem, but even compared to Ethereum, that's very impressive. So you guys must, if you have been using Rootstock for a long time, you must have experienced that there was a big drop on the transaction, on the fee cost, and that came from that update. We have new PulpX signers that came up to 20 now, and the Union Bridge updates all covered here on this call, so you guys can check that as well. But yeah, that was also here. That's also here on this report. We also had some of the ecosystem growth powered by the Rootstock Collective. So over 170K was invested in new Bitcoin projects. So if you are a builder coming to the Rootstock ecosystem, you can benefit from that as well. And just for you guys to know, that was also one of the things that that happened on the past year. And then what else that we have here? And I think this is the coolest one, at least for me. So guys, you can see here this big ecosystem map. This is one of the biggest growths that Rootstock experienced, which was the growth of the DeFi in the ecosystem. As you guys can see here, we have a little bit of everything, DeFi being the leading type of protocols, and Rootstock just show how committed we are to making Bitcoin work for everyone through all these protocols. And of course, we want to have more as we evolve. So I want to invite you all guys to check this report. I'm going to take this link now and share on the box on the comments for you guys to check. I know that this looks like a lot of like shilling a project and everything, but I think it's nice to see, especially because with all the news on Bitcoin, I think everyone gets a bit sus on things going on. How is that going to really work and all that? But when you see a project like Rootstock that has been going on for a long time, that's still working and delivering things like that, I think that shows how the real ecosystem is actually evolving. Apart from all the like shilling and all the bros and all that, apart from all that noise from the industry, there is things that are happening and that are consolidating this type of technology and making it work for everyone. So yes, I want to invite you all to take a look at it, to understand how it's working, and maybe even be one of the participants of that changes through all the projects that we have. We have the Activator. As I said, we have the Rootstock Collective, which is a great opportunity for you guys to join and get funds for your project, and so many other things. So yes, so that's it for Messari. Let's jump into the actual content of our call. I think that's what you all are interested. And today I'm bringing Isidro. I think you guys already know Isidro. From time to time, we bring Isidro in to speak about the Explorer v3. So the Explorer v3 launched last year, and since then there was a lot of iterations and improvements that were made to bring the Explorer from from something very basic to something that's actually working in a like it's state of the art, I believe, when it comes to Explorer now. And Isidro is one of the guys behind it, that's bringing this innovation and improving that. And we had last month the launch of version 3.5, and that's what Isidro is here to talk about, like what's going on there, like what were the improvements and everything that was brought to the table to improve your experience using the Explorer.
Hi, Raisa. Thank you for the presentation, and happy to be here again also. So yes, I'm going to explain a little bit what are the main changes that we have from the latest release. So I have a quick slides presentation for this. So as you can see, this is the presentation, the release 3.5 that we released in January, with the deep focus on improvements for the developer experience. So here we focus in 4 main areas. One was on the contract verification, then on the search bar and search experience. Also on the contract code viewer, with some pretty interesting improvements for the developers, especially when you want to check out the code. And also more detail in the transactions, so you can understand what happened with the transaction when it has a revert, or if it has something wrong, and then you can also take a look on the gas or the method that it was executed. So let's go first with the contract verification. You can see that we introduced the redesign here by adding different alternatives, so you can use single file as always and multiple files. It was we did already have that, but now it's much easier to use. And then, for example, for multiple files, you can just drag your directory and drop it here in this view, and it's going to take all your Solidity files, and you just click on verify. It's much faster and much better. But the highlight here is that we also introduced compatibility with Hardhat and Foundry. And this is amazing because if you use Foundry or Hardhat, you can deploy your contract especially if it is a very complex contract with many imports. You deploy it using Foundry, and then with just a single line, you can also verify it in our Explorer. Then for the search bar, this is also has been redesigned. Some of the features that we introduced is that now we have the verified contracts and are going to be on the top with a green check mark, but also we have a whitelist for official contracts. This is something really important because sometimes you want to add a specific token or something to your wallet, to MetaMask, or you want to send or receive funds. It is important that you can verify that it is an official project, and you can go and check the contract here. You can take a look into the socials and the website for this smart contract, and then you can always verify that the wallet and the contract address is going to be the official one, and you're not interacting with something that is not the real one. Also, here we introduce keyboard navigation, so you can use your keyboard to move between the results. And if you will go to a different result page where you can take a deeper look into what are your opportunities or alternatives here. Then on the code viewer, now you can, this is especially important for contracts that have been verified and they're very complex. Here you can see the whole project in just a single view. You will see all the directories on the right hand side, and then select one by one all the files. And also you can download all the project. The whole project is going to have the same structure, and everything is going to be downloaded to your computer. So you can also do something else, whatever you need to do with this code. And then also on the transaction details, we introduce this. When a transaction is failed, we introduce the revert reason. This is the explanation of what failed in the transaction, so you can understand much better what has been the interaction and what is happening. Really important for developers to understand this. And also, yes, how much gas it was used by the transaction, what was the gas limit that it was sent. In this case, you can see an example that it used only 30% of the gas limit that it was accepted. But this is also good, but it's really good to understand also not just the cost of the transaction, but also the execution of the transaction. And also in the transaction space, you can see the type of the transaction and the method of the transaction that it has been executed. And in some cases, you will see just the method selector without the parsing it into the name of the method, but this is something that we will work and add in a future release for everyone to be able to use it. The main features and changes that we introduced. So I think that was everything for today.
You say like it was super simple, but that's a lot of new iterations that were introduced to the Explorer. And I want to know from you, Isidro, which one do you think, like on terms of development, which ones are the most impactful that were introduced through the v3.5?
Yeah, for me, the contract interactions and the contract verifications, the alternative to see all the contract source code, this is really important for developers. We are still working on keep improving this even further, because it's one of the things, one of the main blockers for developers when they want to build on a blockchain. They need to understand everything. They need to be able to upload, to deploy their smart contracts, and then when you deploy a smart contract, you want to interact with it, and you want the users to be able to check on that smart contract that everything is fine, and you want to audit it, you want to see what the contract is doing. So this is one of the top things that we focus, and of course the compatibility with Foundry and Hardhat is a key enhancement here.
Yeah.
Because Foundry and Hardhat are the top used tools for doing this, for deploying, for creating smart contracts, and the possibility that you can deploy using Foundry and then with just one command verify it here is something that reduces a lot of time that the user would have been taking in order to verify the contract. So this helps a lot.
Yes, yes, and I think that as you said, like it adds, I think it adds benefits for both developers and also to end users on the sense of transparency and security, which was one of the key issues that crypto and blockchain technology faces as either as a bad thing that we got, but also as a reality. Like we cannot deny the reality of things that happen, and so it's very nice to see this layer of transparency with the users being added to the Explorer. It's so easy. Like I think that's one of the key, like I think that's the concept of DeFi actually showing itself. Like that's actual DeFi. It's decentralized. It's transparent. It's easy for everyone to access through the open ledger, which is the Explorer in our case. So it's very nice to see these new interactions bringing us closer to a safer and more pleasant to use blockchain, right? That was super nice, Isidro. I want to invite you all. I just shared the link for the blog post where you guys can find like a small abstract of everything, and on that you also have the links for more in-depth documentation if you guys want to take a closer look, especially for builders. I think that's very interesting for end users as well, just for you guys to see like new tools that you might want to access and try, like see the new transaction details that you guys now have access to. So I want to invite you all to take a look. It's a very short read, so it will not hurt. And yeah, thank you so much, Isidro, for yet another big improvement into the Explorer. As I said, like from time to time, I bring you in. But you guys are fast developing that. So yes, we will see you in the near future, I know for sure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, Raisa. And yes, we're fast and we're about to release some more interesting features. So maybe we'll meet soon again. And yes, all the developers, you can contact us on Discord. If you need something, you can get in touch with us. So
nice. Thank you so much, Isidro. Thank you. See you soon. So keeping up with our conversation, we always try to bring real use cases and people who are actually building on Rootstock. And today I'm very happy to introduce you guys to Cyclo. So I'm going to take a read at here because, to be honest, when I first researched on Cyclo, I was quite impressed. I was like, this is not possible. Like this can't be for real. But that's one of the advantages of having DeFi, is that there are so many products, financial products that were not achievable for the regular folk that now is. So I'm very happy that we're bringing in. So Cyclo is one of the projects funded by Rootstock Collective. That means that they got some fund to make their project work even better and to develop a Rootstock. So Cyclo takes a fresh approach on chain leverage. So usually when you need some leverage, you'd have to put your asset up to liquidation if that was the case, if that happened. But Cyclo introduced a new model. So instead of the lending and borrowing with liquidation risk, users now you can have Bitcoin-backed assets, mint tokens on Cyclo, and that's what's going to be trades. That's going to enter as the trading asset. Maybe I'm not making myself understandable, but that's why we have here Josh, who is one of the founders of Cyclo, and that I explain a bit better how that works and how you guys can access that financial product and how easy they made that for, as I said, the regular folk to access that type of financial product. Welcome, Josh. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. How's it going?
Oh, good.
Yeah, so Cyclo, yeah, we decided to rethink leverage from first principles. And so we asked ourselves, what if leverage was tokenized? What that means is, instead of having your average, like your typical lending protocol on DeFi that people know has a pool supply. So people want to borrow, let's say USDC. So there's a supply pool. People deposit collateral. They take the supply. They then pay the lenders interest. And if the value of their loan drops, it drops below the collateral value, then they get liquidated. We all know that story. So we do a little bit differently. So first of all, I'll explain the basic mechanism, and then I'll explain like some of the ramifications of that mechanism. So at its core, it's very, very simple. Cyclo is an immutable smart contract. You take a token of collateral, so let's say a Bitcoin, and you deposit into the smart contract, and the smart contract uses an oracle to value your collateral in USD, and then it mints you a new token. So this may like sort of sound familiar to the original MakerDAO vaults. Something's being minted new. So you deposit a Bitcoin, let's say a Bitcoin's 60,000, you get 60,000 of a new token, which is a Psy token named after Cyclo, CY. So you might get a Psy BTC. So because you deposited one Bitcoin is worth $60,000, you get 60,000 Psy BTC. Now, at this point in time, you can reverse that transaction instantly. So you could just take your 60,000 Psy BTC and you could burn them, destroy them, and the smart contract, the Cyclo contract, will release your collateral back to you. But that would be very interesting because nothing's happened. So what you do is you take that 60,000 Psy BTC and you sell it on the market. So note that you should say Psy BTC is currently trading at 50 cents. So you take 60,000 of them, you sell them at 50 cents each, and you get $30,000, right? So now you have $30,000 to do whatever you want with. So notice that no one lent you the $30,000. You didn't take it from a lending pool like you would on a regular DeFi lending protocol. You just sold a token on the market. And that's where we're starting to get at tokenized leverage. So now you take that 30,000 and you go do something with it. Let's say you could either be a degen and put it on all on a shitcoin, or you could do something else. You could buy a property and start earning rent on the property from that 30,000 or something. But at some point you want to unwind your position. So you want to get back your Bitcoin because time has passed and either the Bitcoin is now worth even more, or you just want to get it back to use for something else, or you just want to unwind the position. So you now need to get exactly the same amount of Psy BTC you originally minted. So to get your Bitcoin back, you need to get 60,000 Psy BTC, no matter what the price of Bitcoin is now. So all that matters is the price of Bitcoin when you originally minted the Psy BTC, not the price of Bitcoin now. However, the price of Psy BTC may have changed. So let's say Psy BTC is now worth 55 cents. Okay, so it's going to cost you a little bit more than the $30,000 you got when you sold it to get it back to unwind. But also Psy BTC could have gone down. So if it went down, that's great because now you pay less to get your collateral back than the leverage that you originally got when you deposited the first time. But either way, let's say you buy back the 60,000 and you can get your Bitcoin back and you've unwound your position. So that's fairly simple. It sounds like maybe I made it sound complicated, but if you think about it, it's pretty simple. What gets interesting is all of the mechanics and market mechanics that start to come into play with this simple primitive. So like I said before, the price of the Psy token is not fixed, it's floating. But it can never go more than $1, because if it went more than $1, then you would be able to take $1 worth of collateral, deposit it, get a Psy token, and sell that Psy token for more than $1. So that would be an infinite money loop. And because of that, if it ever got over $1, people would take advantage of that loop, and they would mint and sell Sai tokens until the price was brought back down to $1 and it was no longer profitable to do so. So there's a cap on the price, which is interesting because it means you basically, no matter what happens, you have a maximum unwind price to get your collateral back. But also there's interesting pressures because the Sai tokens are not a fixed supply. Like we just saw, we minted 60,000 and then we burned 60,000. So what is going to make people mint new ones is when the price of the Sai token is closer to $1. So if the price of the Sai token is 60 cents, then that's a 0.6 ratio on your collateral value that you can get in leverage right now. For every $1 of collateral you put in, you get 60 cents. And when people do that, they mint the token, the Sai token, they sell it, they drive the price down. When the price goes down, people who previously have locked collateral are now incentivized to buy it back, because like we saw before, if we locked collateral, sold the Sai tokens for 50 cents, then getting them back for 40 cents would be great. That's just like actually an instant profit, no matter whether you made money with the leverage that you took. So when the price goes, when people mint new, so the price of Sai tokens are high, people mint new ones, they sell them, they drive the price down, which causes other people to say, hey, this is a good time for me to buy back Sai tokens. And when they buy them back, they reduce the supply and the price goes up again. And so you have a cyclical price movement, and that's why it's called Cyclo, because we have this cyclical price movement of Sai tokens as the supply grows and shrinks, and as demand for leverage increases and decreases. And that's just for the leverage. So there's also other interesting things you can do with this ecosystem, right? Because now you've got this mechanic with this token, which has these, you can imagine fairly predictable cycles. It becomes quite a good thing to swing trade, because if you see that the price of Sai tokens is low and you buy some, basically for every Sai token that you buy, you know that you hold $1 worth of somebody else's, the keys to $1 worth of somebody else's collateral. And if they ever want their collateral back, if they ever want their Bitcoin back, they have to come buy that Sai token off you eventually. And so it's a perfectly valid strategy to try to scoop up Sai tokens when they're low. And then, when a crunch comes, or when the price of Bitcoin goes up and people want their collateral back, you sell the tokens back to them. And so you're basically taking the other side of the trade for leverages. So you can swing trade, you can, it's quite interesting to market make them because of this cyclical movement. You have, as we know, with correlated assets, you have SIL, so there's some interesting market making opportunities. And then there's you can do the regular looping stuff. You could deposit collateral, get a Sai token, sell it, buy more collateral, deposit that, get more Sai tokens, sell those, get more collateral. All the fun stuff that you can do with DeFi. And because they're tokens, it's also really composable. So, the Sai tokens just work in all the DEXs. So you don't have a market that's contained within the protocol. You actually have a market that can be as wide as DeFi itself, because obviously tokens go everywhere in DeFi. I hope I've explained it okay.
Yeah, that's super nice. Yeah. And as like by the end, you were mentioning a few use cases that you see, but when you first envisioned Cyclo, who was let's say, what was Cyclo built for? Who was Cyclo built for? And how does that user experience looks like from beginning to end? If it was for more institutional, if it was more for just regular holder, let's say me, I have a Bitcoin that's just hanging in there in my wallet, and maybe that Cyclo is a product for me. How did you guys envision that?
Yeah, actually, the one thing I didn't mention is that there's no liquidation. I mean, there's just nothing in the flow where liquidation happens, right? Because you never get forced to unwind your position, and there's no lender to make whole. So there's no liquidators watching and waiting for that LTV to drop and then liquidate your position. It's up to you. It's all about your own timing.
Nice.
And so I think a lot of it was born out of that anxiety of not knowing whether you're going to get liquidated, and thinking, is there another way to do this? And also just a love of markets. So really thinking about how do you apply the market, the wider DeFi market and token markets to leverage.
Yes.
But I mean, you said for an institution or for an individual, I mean, it's fairly simple in both cases. You just go to cyclo.finance and you lock your collateral and you get the token.
Mhm.
Then you go and sell the side token. So it's fairly simple experience.
Nice. And besides that liquidation risk that you guys kind of like, it's non-existent. Is there any locking period that the user needs to have once they go to Cyclo, or is it like ec- completely up to you? Like, so you pretty much have control over your assets all the time.
Yes, it's like I said, it's an immutable contract. There's no admin keys, there's no intermediary. It's just pure code. And it's a very simple primitive actually. Like it gets interesting when it exists in the wider market. The Cyclo contract in itself is very simple. It's a vault where you deposit and you mint something and then you
Yep.
return something, you withdraw. It just has these properties that basically are emergent from that really simple primitive. But yeah, there's no lock-in. You can unwind instantly. There's no interest paid, so you don't have to pay anything to keep your position open. Just whenever you want to come back, you can unwind.
Nice.
It's about timing the market. So it's about it's taking one thing and trading it for another. It's not to say that like at the end of the day there's fundamentals that can't be avoided, but it basically takes liquidations and interest, which is a form of risk, right? And it trades it for the market risk of the side tokens. So the risk for you is when you get your leverage, if the side token, for the time you want to get your collateral back, the side tokens are much more expensive. You might have to pay a lot more than you got when you originally locked. But of course, like I said, you can wait. So that's why I say you don't. It trades one thing for another, and basically makes it's more suited when you have longer time horizons, and then you can wait until those side tokens come back down in price.
Yes.
Versus
Nice.
it's I guess you could say it's less predictable, but in exchange you don't ever have the anxiety that you could just be you can't have anything forced on you.
Yeah. So I would say maybe the profile is that person who really wants to have control over their assets and who really wants to be the decision maker instead of having others that can have and maybe will have rights through your on your assets. So it's like I think it's that very cheesy sentence. Like with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility when it comes to your assets, but yeah, it's a very nice way of dealing with your own assets that eliminates some risk, but adds other not risk, but actually like as you said, like there are so many that you can take off. The risk is really up to you and how the investor is up to waiting, or like it's really that compensation and that thought that the person wants to do. And I want to know, like, so now you have that product, and what you guys envision in the future for Cycle, or do you really want to keep it on that like very, let's say you want to be very true to that first idea that you guys had?
Yeah, I mean, I said, but just a second ago, I said that it's less predictable. So, what we would like to do is create a layer where you could introduce that predictability. And our idea right now is basically have an options type protocol or layer on top. So, I could say, essentially, you could sell me a premium and say, I will sell you this many side tokens for this price at this point in time in the future for this premium. And so I could lock in a price, and you as the person providing that option would be pricing the premium based on where you think the price really will be in the future. So
Nice.
you'd be able to aggregate your understanding of the market and where things are going, charge premiums, and for each individual, I basically would have a predictable price to unwind at some future time.
Yes, that's nice, and I think that's a kind of a layer of gamification that that really works for this kind of markets. It's very nice to see how you guys envision your product and how you face the control of the assets and what people can actually do with them. Thank you so much, Josh, for your time. Thank you for explaining us. As I said, like at least for me, I'm a regular type of investor, by no means advanced. For me, it was very disruptive and so nice to see there is so much possibilities, especially when it comes to assets like Bitcoin that people like you always have that myth, like let's just keep it and wait, like hope and wait for the market to go up. But now you can do so much, and there are so many DeFi products on Rootstock that can offer that. Cyclo being one of them, and one of the most interesting. So thank you so much for your time here today for explaining it. I just shared the link for your website for you guys if you want to check Cyclo, and if you want even to test a little bit, as you guys saw, it's pretty much I like. Please, no finance advice. It's just the experience that we saw, that it's kind of risk-free for you guys to try and to see how your assets can do more for you on the Rootstock environment. So yes, that's super nice. And keeping up with our conversation, as I said, today we have two very special guests. We're going to go one by one, and those are Hacktivator contributors. So as you guys know, Hacktivator is our ongoing contribution program. So if you are a developer new, or you are a seasoned developer and you want to contribute to the Bitcoin and Rootstock ecosystem, you can actually earn for that. So you have the marketplace of ideas where you can drop your ideas, you can pick up ideas and develop that, either code or content. And today we actually have two code contributions that ended up being on the documentation. Which is very nice. As you guys know, Rootstock is an open source project network. So it's very nice to see that people are actually contributing to that. So I'm very excited to introduce you guys to Swarna, who made a very nice contribution. And I know that was one that people were very excited to learn about, like we saw some questions before we entered the call. And her contribution started integrating X402 payments with Rootstock. Welcome, Swarna. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, hello, Riza.
Hi, thank you so much. So as I said, I don't know if you know, but your contribution kind of made people very excited here on X. Like that was one of the things that people were like, "Oh, this is impressive." And XO2 is kind of new. So can you like just to put everyone on the same page? What is that? And then we're gonna go a bit deeper, like why you brought that to Rootstock. But let's start with the beginning. The basics, like what's X402 payments?
Okay, so I am a designer basically, but I started my developer journey recently, and my whole Twitter was filled with what is XO2, what is XO2. I got interested, and I met a Rootstock team in a few events. So I was like going through the Hacktivator program, added the idea that we can integrate it in the Rootstock payment system, and it got accepted. And then I went on, like, made the guide basically. So we had this HTTP 402 payment method, but it was kind of like uh, it was there in 90s, but no one was using it because they need payment gateways and everything, which the AI agents don't have cards or any payment method, right? So here we can just directly using this, we can just directly make the payments uh, and give the payment and give the AI agents the way to make the payments directly. Yeah. So why?
Yes, that's super nice. And I just wanted to make just another question following up to that. And how did you get the idea to bring that to Rootstock, and how do you see that type of payment, like being able to, like, I think AI is one of the technologies that everyone's talking about, but like integrating that to blockchain, which is again another emerging technology. How do you think that is a good fit for Rootstock?
Okay, Rootstock has the security of the Bitcoin. Like, you don't need to go anywhere else to get the security and network managing and everything. It gives you Bitcoin network via merge mining, and native Bitcoin payments are always the best option, like TBRTC. So any AI agent can use that to make the transactions. Plus, it gives you the EVM based smart contract logics, which is the best part, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that for sure makes a lot of developers' life easier. I think whenever we say that we are EVM compatible, people get very a big relief because then they don't have to go like all
Yeah.
crazy learning again another language, another programming language. And like I saw that your tutorial focused a lot on sovereign mode, so which is pretty much the API it will act and it's all payment without the need of a middleman, like the middleman being the own developer, but still like it's still needed,
Yeah.
would need some real action from coding. So what are the real use cases that you see the X402 payments being used for?
Okay. So say when what I mean by sovereign mode is in non-sovereign mode we need at least a credit card or something payment gateway or any middleman like Stripe or PayPal to make any payment on any kind of API when we are trying to access them, right? But in sovereign mode, what we do is we just have the wallet and the agent so they can directly make the payment in the API. Like for the first when we start to get a premium, when we go to a premium sentiment API, you ask for it to get the access request, right?
Mhm.
The AI agent sends a get request to API sentiment. Then the sovereign sees no payment, like the API needs the payment but it shows no payment. So the API agent sends a response with 402 payment system, sovereign system. uh, 402 payment required. It includes a header with price and the target address. Then the autonomous payment, the agent's wallet hold TBRTC signs the transaction and broadcast it to Rootstock network. And then it receives the transaction. And then the agent retries the process again, the payment again, and gives the transaction hash to the agent, which helps then which it gives, confirms again with, after that it sends the 200 OK hash and premium 200 OK with the premium sentiment data,
Nice.
verified data.
That's nice. And I want to ask you, like, as you mentioned in the beginning, you were a designer by like that's your background. So I imagine there was a lot of like blockers to coming up with a very technical type of documentation. What were the main challenges that you faced when researching and then coming up with the final documentation?
The hardest part wasn't the code because I had my friends backing me up in that area. But when I was making the things work, the process timing 30 seconds was still a lot for everyone, right?
Yes.
Which is why it was a hurdle. But we tried to do it like how we can make the user understand that it's working. You don't have to retry again and again, how we can do that. And then the second hurdle which came was that uh, I was taking the transactions as the completed data, the paid data, but every transaction on chain is not the completed one, right? Sometimes it does fail due to the lack of gas fee and everything. So that is why it made a little harder because I spent hours on that, but I was just looking at the wrong data at that time. I had to check the transaction if it was paid or not, and then had to integrate it again to see if the protocol was seeing the transaction, why it was getting rejected again and again. Yeah.
Nice.
So I
That's
had
nice.
to yeah.
Oh, sorry. So I see that you also use a lot of help from your friends. So it's very nice to see that this was something that was built with kind of feedback, right? Like, so we were, as
Yeah.
you were building, you were also like getting some feedback to make it actually work. And how do you feel like having your work actually now published in our developers portal and being able to help many other developers and builders on the Rootstock ecosystem to actually use that type of payments and making their lives easier? As you know, like I think at this point AI is kind of unstoppable and it will be used with blockchain by at any point. So how do you feel about it all happening? As again, as I said, like you're a designer by your background is on design, so that's very peculiar type of pathway, right?
Actually, it felt great and more inspiring. Like I just get into the development and I can do more and more of it. And plus, I've been a product designer, so it's like I have this user journey, user experience journey, where I can just, can I make it more simpler? That's it.
Yeah, that's nice
Yeah.
to see. That's very nice. Thank you so much, Sorna. I have just posted the link to your documentation here on our messaging box, but it's fairly easy. If you guys don't want to click on that, you just go on our Rootstock. Actually, sorry, it's dev.rootstock.io, and then if you type 402 x 402, you're gonna find Swarna's documentation here for you guys to use. You're gonna see there is pretty much all the snippets that you need to make that work for you on your end to test and to see if how that can fit into your product or just your test if that's the case. And I think it's super nice way, and I think it's it's nice to see how these two emerging technologies can come together in such a nice way to make, as you said, the user experience much easier, faster, more efficient, and in the end, make things happen in a smoother way than it used to be.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Swarna. Hoping to see you again in the future and see your new contributions to the Hacktivator. Congratulations, and hope you have a great journey in your new development path. And that Hacktivator
Yeah.
was a boost for you for this beginning.
Yes. Thanks a lot for having me. It was a great opportunity.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. And moving up with our Hacktivator contributors, we have today also Michael, who also contributed with a documentation that ended up on our developer portal as well. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us today. And his documentation is actually, I'm going to have to read here the title because it's a bit long, but it's Zero Knowledge Proofs on Rootstock with Noir. As you guys know, we have brought a few zero knowledge projects in the past, but now you have these in combination with Noir. And Michael has prepared here a very nice presentation to show like why he has done what he did, how people can access that. So the floor is yours, Michael. Very nice to see your contribution and to get to know you.
Yes, thank you so much, Reza, and very nice to like be here to share my contribution with the community and the builders. My name is Michael from Nigeria. I'm a blockchain developer and a technical writer. I enjoy writing and breaking down concepts like for people to like understand. And oh, my backstory to how I got into Rootstock. I I started with an hackathon. I got to hear about Rootstock from an hackathon, Web3 Lagos hackathon, and I'm like, okay, this is a very, very nice initiative. Like, how is it possible to like build on Bitcoin network, right? With smart contract, Ethereum smart contract. I was like, oh, yes, this is really nice and something and um, use sometimes. Even though eventually for the hackathon project, I did eventually build on Rootstock. I was really fascinated by Rootstock, and eventually I got into the activator program once earlier, 2025, and I was like, okay, let's see what I can do. I started dropping ideas on how to submitting ideas on how to um, hands-on tutorials to build dApps on Rootstock, hands-on tutorials on how to like write smart contracts on Rootstock because I had dived into the ecosystem already because I was interested, very much interested in the ecosystem, what I can do right on Bitcoin ecosystem, like on Rootstock, on Bitcoin ecosystem through Rootstock because I mean I have access to like the opportunities that Bitcoin and then Ethereum merges together to bring. So that's how like I got into Rootstock. I started contributing to Rootstock. It has been a very amazing experience, and I'm super excited to be here to be able to share my contribution about ZK Pros with Noah. Yes, so how I got into the Activator program, I moved on to the Activator 1.0, wrote like a couple of articles that were published on the Rootstock community blog on building the applications. An example, one of those were like, okay, building a charity the application on Rootstock, a full stack application, both the front end and the smart contract integration with as well ThoughtWeb that has supports account abstraction as well. Also, I moved on to like building a very significant application that I like. I'm going to use that as an example here, right? As something you can extend with this current ZK project now, and that is the Habits Tracker app. So that's the application was just a simple the application that helps anyone to track his or her habits. So let's say I want to be committed to my habits, right? I go to the habit tracker, the application, create a new habit, commit to it. Let's say I want to put in about, let's say 0.5 RBTC or 0.02 RBTC, like that. I put it in, I lock it in, and then every day I perform. Every day I'm able to complete the habit. I come in to check in. If I miss a day, then I lose my money. And then if I don't miss any day, then I'm able to check in on all these and eventually get back my commitment that I made in the beginning. So that was like, one contribution I also made to the Rootstock community blog in the first activator. And then fast forward to like 2025 last year, later last year, I got back into Rootstock activator program because at some point I paused because of school stuff, and then I resumed back to Rootstock Activator 3.0, where now we now had the marketplace, so you could submit ideas and pick up ideas that people have submitted and build on. And earlier that year, I got into Zero Knowledge Proofs. That was through Web3 Bridge, where I took a training on like Zero Knowledge Proofs. We were writing protocols, base protocols, polynomial, sparse and dense polynomials, sum check protocol, GKR protocol, and it was pretty much interesting the potentials that ZK would bring. The privacy potentials, the solutions to complex computations that you can do instead of using a lot of computing power to like compute all these complex computations. You can use just little computing power to compute complex computations and verify that okay, yes, this computation was done correctly using ZK. So in simple terms, zero knowledge is just okay, I can prove to you that I've done something without actually showing you what I have done. So let's say I have like an ID card and I have all of my information on it, my name, my age, my date of birth, my country, and all of those details. But I want to prove to you that I am a Nigerian, or I'm a Nigerian. And you don't need to see all of my other details. You just need to see, okay, maybe the flag or my nationality Nigerian on my ID card. Showing you every other thing will just reveal too much information on me. So ZK can do that without showing you everything. I can just prove to you using zero knowledge that this card shows you that I'm a Nigerian, but I'm not showing you all the details of my card. I will only show you that part that I'm a Nigerian, just that section that I'm a Nigerian, and then you don't know any other thing, but you can trust that that system has correctly verified that I am a Nigerian. That is what ZK is all about basically. It just helps you to prove something without showing you everything without showing you the actual proof that I have this. That's what ZK is about. And when I saw the idea, I like, oh, this is an interesting idea to even pick up because now we had been like writing new protocols and we've not really like built a real world system that integrated like zero knowledge proofs. And here I saw the idea to expose people on Rootstock to what zero knowledge is and how they can build with zero knowledge, like a real life the application with zero knowledge. I was like, okay, let's do this with Noah. And then I dived inside like consumer resources on Noah, how to build domain, how to build real world applications like normal D applications that can use zero knowledge proofs. And that was how like I got into building. That's how I got into adding this contribution, zero knowledge proofs with Noah on Rootstock, and then I started the application. I had a couple of hiccups on the way because like there are not so many tutorials or resources that would teach people how to build
Yeah.
rootstock applications, DApps like that, integrated with like ZK. And thank God for this platform, Speedrun Ethereum. I saw some resources on Speedrun Ethereum that I could use, and I'm really thankful also to Owens, the technical reviewer that was like, was very patient with me reviewing my article, my contribution, and all of that. And that was how I was able to contribute to this. And the contribution addresses is that there is a privacy problem. On the blockchain, you have everything is very open, right? You have every transaction that you're making is very, very open and public, right? And then there is another problem of computation. And recently got into to ZKML, like very interesting field, and you can just reduce the amount of computation you're going to do by integrating zero knowledge proofs. So
Yes.
let's see a scenario that I have to like they are like they are solutions that Ethereum is currently talking about, that they want to scale using zero knowledge proofs, just to make sure that they can scale and process more transactions. Now that is the potential that ZK has. Now apart from this, you can use ZK in consumer applications like this basic applications I built with the tutorial, which is a Secret Club NFT DApp, that you can come to the application, and only people that know the secret to the application can actually log into the application. Now we proved that using zero knowledge, and
Nice.
everything happens on your browser without going to any backend system. Everything happens on your browser. So if you have the code, and let's say we are a group of people, a group of 6 people, I share the code for everybody. I share the code to everybody among those 6 people, and then only if you have the code, you can only log into the application. So if you don't have the code, if you type in the code to the application, you would get rejected immediately. And everything like works locally on your browser right there. Doesn't go to any server, and that is how unique and peculiar ZK can be. The security and
Nice.
privacy you can get with ZK. So that is like the brief overview of my contribution. Do you have any questions for me, Reza?
Yes, I actually have. So Noir is a kind of a new language, especially for the ZK space compared to others like Circom or Snark. What are the advantages that you see of using that instead of the most common used one, especially for ZK type of products?
For ZK kind of products, right? Noah is like one of the pioneer DSL, domain specific languages, that are like pioneering a system, pioneering like a language that you can use, that every developer can use to interact and to build privacy focused systems using ZK. Because typically, as I said before, when I was like learning, starting my journey in ZK, we were building protocols with Rust, and we're not really seeing like real life applications of building, user facing systems, consumer facing systems with ZK. So now Noah abstracts all of the complexities you have to, and they just bring you can write, you can implement ZK protocols with simpler languages, like simpler, what's it called, simpler syntax, like solidity solidity like syntax, right? You can write circuit with solidity like syntax. That is what Noah does. It just simplifies and abstracts all the complexities of writing zero knowledge proofs and circuits and all of that. And you can write circuits in plain solidity like language.
That's very nice to see. And I think that one nice thing about the Hacktivator is that it's actually you guys who are end users in the end, like you're a developer making documentation or tutorials for other developers, and you know the pain points, right? So as you said, like Noir being a language that can be a bit can be simpler and in the end like slimmer when you read the code and you need to analyze and even find bugs or potential threats through the code, that might be super useful for developers when making their developing their own contracts and deploying on the mainnet. So that's very nice to see. And thank you so much, Michael, for bringing your contribution to the Hacktivator and to the overall audience and developers on Rootstock ecosystem. I'm sure that's very much appreciated, especially for the fact that you not only brought something about zero knowledge proofs, which, as you said, can be so useful, but also with the add-on of Noir, which makes developers' life easier. So I think that's the best of both worlds, that where you put the end user needs at thought, but you also makes developers' life easier, which in the end will also improve the final product in delivery. That's very nice to see. Thank you so much for taking your time for being with us today. And looking forward to see your new contributions, as well as I said to Swarna. I hope that this was an experience that boosted your confidence and also your career path as a developer for the future. Okay, guys. So this is a wrap for our call today, and I want to invite you guys, if you have any topics or any suggestions of things that you'd like to see on future calls, please feel free to drop on the comment section. We'll be happy to try to cover that. Either partners that you saw we integrated and you'd like to know more about, network updates that you're curious to learn a bit more about, that you want to go a bit deeper, or anything else that you'd like to see cover on these calls, please feel free to drop. We're open to that. We're very happy to host these calls and to make the news on the ecosystem easier for you guys to understand, to digest, and to bring the news, and hopefully make it easier for all of you guys to get this news. Thank you so much for sticking with us today. Looking forward to see you guys on our next call, which will be next month, and to bring much more news for you guys. And yes, I think that's it. Bye bye, and see you very soon.